Hi there, it's me, the Jonin Monkey again. How many times have I said that now? According to YouTube, it's about 109. So, this should be my 110th video. And it's the hardest one I've ever had to make. But it has to be done. I can't stay in this limbo state, or leave you guys with unexplained silence forever. As of today, I am officially retiring, for lack of a better word, since I'm only in my 30s, as a reviewer on YouTube, ending both Monkey Broadcast and Video Game Troubadour. I am now listing the timestamps for the individual bits if you want to hear the full details or will be satisfied with the short summary I give. The short version is that life has gotten busy and me and Sven want to move on to other things. That's the TLDR version, and some of you may have seen this coming for a while now anyway, but I'm going to give the full details to those who want a bit more explanation. Otherwise, you can just skip towards the end where I explain what I'm doing now and also answer some of the questions in our Monkey Broadcast Q&A backlog, since I never got around to doing all of them. So, one thing I need to make clear right off the bat is that this decision had nothing to do with you guys, and whatever I say throughout the rest of this Q&A also has no reflection on you guys. You've been awesome. I cannot tell you how great it's been to know that someone enjoys my content and cares about what me and Sven has to say. Infinity Zero, Tomb Junkie, Luffy McDuck, Roy Havenstone, MVO Gaming, Vice of Legend, Metal Gamer, GamerCat16, I believe there was Out of Flame back in the day, but there's so many to this, but many, for all of those people who have been following me, thank you. You've been amazing. You're the reason I've continued for as long as I have. So why have I stopped? Well, as I've mentioned, life has gotten busy. I know I say this regularly, what with the whole 2 jobs and everything, but it's not just with work. In the short term, there was also a bunch of family matters on both mine and Sven's side of things that we needed to sort out. Not anything traumatic or anything like that, just stuff we really did need to sort out. And trying to deal with all of that, plus push myself towards the Monkey Broadcast deadlines, caused me to be emotionally burnt out. Which was how I missed that first Monkey Broadcast deadline. I mean, it wasn't ideal, but it could have worked. I made the apology video and we started working on the smaller Q&As and the standalone review videos to try and make up for it and avoid that kind of crash again. And we were thinking, oh yeah, this will be fine. It's better this way. We can work at our own pace, release the content more regularly. We don't have to hold ourselves to that monthly deadline. This will be okay. The problem was, after the chaos of that crash had settled and me and Sven scrambling to try and get this new system up and running, we kind of realized something. See, the thing is, when you're creating, especially when you're working on a continuously scheduled series, like in this case it was monthly, you tend to get caught in this loop for a long time, where it's just a schedule like, oh, I call Sven like I normally do once a week. We arrange when we're going to record Monkey Broadcast, what we're going to talk about. If we're doing a countdown, we arrange what the order is and what we're going to talk about. Then we get to the recording session, we have a laugh, I spend the next month editing it, release it, and then we do it all over again. But the thing is, when you're getting caught in that loop, you tend to either not notice problems that are building up, or you tend to blind yourself to it, because you think, we can work this out, come on, let's get the next show out. And those problems were slowly starting to creep up on us. We were struggling for new content, or trying to come up with new sections, or new ways of presenting the reviews. In the first couple of instances, it was, I made them so big that I couldn't possibly finish all of the editing in that time. And we were putting this pressure on ourselves to keep making new content to make it more exciting, or try to see if we could get up to date with some current movie, or in my case, like speed through RPGs I was enjoying in order to try and get to the ending so I could give a review on time. Sven had a review for, I believe it was Mr. Mercedes, which he kept coming up with and then putting on the back burner because he was constantly trying to figure out the best way he wanted to do it, because he did not want to half-ass it. He wanted it to be a perfect review from him. Basically, we were putting all this pressure on ourselves, and at the end of it, we got a podcast which well, we would be lucky if we ever get more than 5 likes or even like triple figures in terms of views. It was a lot of work and we were getting very little reward for it. And again, I'm not blaming our audience for this. I fully know why. There's the whole YouTube algorithm, and there are plenty of things which, if I had made the effort, I could have done to enforce growth. I could have been posting more podcasts out there. I could have been doing more eye-counting stunts, like trying to get more guests on, or reviewing some popular webcomics like I did with Rain, or trying to catch up with some current content, maybe more regular releases for a start. But whilst we were doing all this, there was a small voice, a creeping little voice in the back of my head that didn't want us to grow. Because doing so, becoming a more successful channel, would make us part of the bigger YouTube reviewing scene. At the risk of sounding like an old man, the reviewing scene is not what it used to be. There are many people I hold in high regard that are still in that space. It's not a world I want to spend my life in. I've had fun being a reviewer, but I'm a writer at heart. And I want to get back to writing stories rather than reviewing them. It's not an easy choice. Part of me still loves talking about the things I see in the media I watch and play, and trying to think about the best way to get those feelings across. And I've often entertained the idea of maybe I could do vlogs, or maybe I could do like just focus on one series and do episode by episode reviews like Sway does with his Pokemon stuff. Or some new format that could meet both desires, like reviews but disguised as stories. But I have to be realistic. I want to create, so it's time for me to move on and focus on that. I can't just be mentally just sticking my toe in the water and going, maybe I'll have to swim. No, I have to decide, am I staying on land or taking the dive? So that's the reason why I'm making this video. I have to make that mental decision of, no, this is it. I'm not making reviews on YouTube anymore. So, where do we go from here? Well, just because I've stopped being a reviewer doesn't mean I'll disappear from YouTube entirely. A lot of the original story ideas I have are in the pre-production phase, where I'm planning, contacting people, writing, designing, etc. So that stuff you're not gonna see for a while. Probably a year if you're really, really lucky. But I am considering the idea of doing Let's Plays again. But even if that doesn't happen, I'm still the Dungeon Master on Envil Gaming's D&D videos, particularly the Curse of Strahd series, which I recommend you check out. I've been having so much fun with that, and I really do want those videos to succeed. And even if you don't follow the D&D stuff, I recommend you go to Envil Gaming's channel anyway, just because he does entertaining video game streams regularly, and I am actually one of the mods in the chat, so there's a good chance you'll be able to see me there and say hi. On top of that, Sven also has a new idea for a wrestling series that he wants to do on his own channel, and if all goes to plan, I'll be showing up as a co-host on that side of things. And you can still find me on Twitter at @TheJoninMonkey, and now that I'm no longer reviewing on YouTube, I'm going to be making more of an effort to actually post thoughts and opinions, and I'll also be posting more artwork on there, especially now that Inktober's coming up. That might be a good opportunity for me to post some things there. When these new story-based productions are ready to be seen, I will let you know where you can find them. And of course, when the new projects are ready to go, I will let you know both on Twitter and this channel, so keep your eyes peeled. But before this video wraps up, let's go back through all of the questions you people have sent in for Monkey Broadcast. I'm gonna quickly run through these. I was also thinking of inviting Sven on here, but he's currently really busy right now, and I kind of want to reduce the amount of editing I have to do this video because it's already pretty hard to do. Okay, I'm going to do each person in one bulk, just so no one gets confused as to who asked who, etc. Okay, first off, we've got a lot here from The Infinity Zero. These first three: your thoughts on the Pikmin series, have you played Little Nightmares, and your thoughts on Coraline. I was going to wait a little longer with these until I've actually seen one of these things so that, you know, we could talk about it a bit more. I learned from the early days that it's not really fun to just say, sorry, we have no idea what you're talking about. Like, Pikmin, I've only ever seen a couple of Let's Plays of, and it looks kind of cute. It's not really the sort of game that's ever really appealed to me, though. What is the most depressing series/game you've ever seen? Ooh, Game of Thrones actually got kind of depressing, especially more towards the end. Not just because of the bad writing, but also just because, you know, why do you have to keep killing people all the time? I'm sure there are much better examples, but Game of Thrones is the one I've watched the longest. I mean, I suppose you could say Animorphs for the dark ending it took, but that actually made it kind of more interesting in hindsight. Which series do you think would be easy to cross over, and which ones would be hard? Well, pretty much any time you got a superhero, it's easy to cross them over. So, My Hero Academia could very easily cross over with something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or anything from DC. In fact, actually, X-Men would be something that's very easy because it has the same premise of people are born with superpowers and they have to form a team. I mean, X-Men admittedly has the whole, we are an allegory for oppressed minorities, but as many people have pointed out, it's an allegory that doesn't really make much sense in universe because there are superheroes who are also born with weird powers that don't get treated like crap, but, you know, it's complicated. Fighting games are also pretty easy to cross over as well because you got people fighting each other with superpowers, and as long as you can figure out a way to translate mechanics, very easy to do. In terms of what would be hard, I usually like it when it's really hard for people, so they have to go above and beyond to find a common ground between the two series. I guess it would be really hard if someone was a complete non-combatant. And actually, I'll tell you what, we actually touched on this, but Food Wars. Food Wars with anything, it's going to be an awkward crossover, because Food Wars, it's not really an action show, it's more of a cooking contest, and as we've alluded to many times, for those of you who've never seen Food Wars, that's a series which the only way they can use to show that someone really loves the taste is pornographic imagery. Softcore porn, basically. Yeah. So that makes it really awkward. I mean, some of you diehard fans may remember the time when Sven caused me to shut down temporarily because he was saying, oh hey, imagine if someone was feeding one of those foods to Freezer, and I just just went into complete shutdown over that. These are two questions that are pretty much on the same line of some examples of a well-written female character you've seen in a video game, and after If Only Zero was disappointed by Captain Marvel, what are some female protagonists you enjoy? Some of the characters I personally enjoyed, I enjoyed Lara Croft in the 2013 Tomb Raider games, and just to respectfully disagree, I actually did kind of like Captain Marvel in the end. Like, she's not my favourite character in the MCU, but she's still pretty okay. And also for the MCU, I would throw in Okoye, Shuri, and Nikita, basically the female supporting cast in Black Panther. They were awesome. 9 times out of 10, I do really love the female characters in the Fire Emblem series, particularly Houses. Man, that gave us a great characterization. Just love it. I always enjoyed Dixie because she was badass, and I loved all the Gerudos in Breath of the Wild. They were all pretty badass. And, Nariko and Kai from Heavenly Sword. Those people were great as well. Those are all the female characters I can think of, and I should probably stop there before I go on any further and make this longer than it needs to be. Do you think the Zelda series would be better or worse if Zelda acted more like she did in Hyrule Warriors? I think it would be more or less about the same, really, because the thing is, because she's a playable character, Zelda gains a lot more agency, like she's actively more willing to do things. I honestly think it would be better if Zelda was doing stuff more. It's like, I know someone got really, really mad at me when I said the whole balance of the Triforce thing was a really bad excuse, because they're like, it's not an excuse, he's just explaining his rationale. It's like, no, it is an excuse, and it's one of the reasons I dislike it is because it's really telling, especially when they were doing the whole, well, we did think about having Zelda as the main character, but then what would Link do? it shows that they only really think of these characters in terms of their roles. So if you did give Zelda more agency, it would at least force them to actually buckle and go, okay, what is this character actually like, and how will they act in the situation, as opposed to, well, Zelda's the flag. So Cadence of Hyrule is also an excellent example of just giving Zelda more agency, so that both she and Link and even Cadence do have more to do with the story, and they all have their own plot lines. You can control all of them. And yeah, that was just another really fun Zelda game. So yeah, long story short, I think it would be pretty much more or less about the same. Like, even if she's not a playable character, just make her actively do more stuff, you know? What's the most original game you've ever played? Like, original's such a hard to find term these days, especially because a lot of people are just, like, sort of innovating on mechanics that already exist. I think the closest thing that comes to innovative would be, and I know people are going to get really mad at this, but I would say the Wii Sports stuff. I was actually thinking of new ways to control the character and different ways you could use the motion controls. Although I haven't played it, I would also include Wii Party U, because some of the stuff they would do with the additional screen looks really interesting, and it kind of shows that a lot of people really weren't thinking of how to use the Wii U effectively, but well. So yeah, long short of it is, I would say the Wii Sports stuff. And whilst I haven't played it yet, part of me is actively seriously tempted to pick up, I forget the full title. It's something like World Fit Adventure or something like that. It's a new thing coming out for the Switch where you're going on this big epic quest, but you're controlling it by essentially doing fitness activities like jogging on the spot, and you get into a turn-based battle system, but you're attacked by having to do squats. It's one of those things where it could be exhausting and naff, but it also sounds kind of fun, and a part of me wants to award that innovation, I guess. We got a bunch of Pokemon questions here, which were actually all connected to the 20th anniversary, and we kind of missed that one, so sorry. Charizard, Venusaur, or Blastoise. Charizard for me every time. Would I hug a Goodra? Yes, because I love to hug all pets, although I'd probably regret it. What are my thoughts on the games and or the anime? The anime I kind of abandoned ages ago. Like, in a sense, you could just sort of let go of the fact that they often disregard game mechanics and like, yeah, okay, you know what, it's an anime, they need to make the battles more exciting, what are they going to do? But I think for me, I did come back like a few times for... no, that's right. I came back for Advanced Battle because I was actively excited to see that they were shaking things up. Like, Brock had gone back home, Ash had finally given Misty that damn bike, and they were going their separate ways. And I was also really excited when May came along, and she was like a new mentor at taking part in contests, because it was like, okay, cool, now we have this new dynamic going on with Ash. But then it kind of fell into the same repetitive pattern that the Pokemon series has always been in, and then when May left, they had Dawn, and Dawn, yeah, I know she went through this whole character development arc where she lost a bunch of times and she realized, oh, I don't need to be depressed about losing. But it was essentially the same thing. Like, it's still, like, gone into this repetitive pattern of, oh, new season, we now have new companions, the girl one will enter into contests. I've heard that Sun and Moon completely reshakes that formula again and is a lot more interesting and engaging as a result. I actually also really like the animation style of that one. It's a bit more fluid and interesting, but at the same time, I haven't really been interested into checking it out. As for the games, I really enjoy them and play them all when they came out, but for me, the series peaked at Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2 because I really loved the storytelling in that. That was just really great stuff, and it was like, you got to explore this great world, raise the Pokemon, and you were put in an engaging story that did make you think as well. That was like perfection for the series for me. And it's been slowly decreasing since then, partially because they've been reducing the difficulty a lot, so I don't exactly want to be grinding to face this super hard boss and then relying on luck, but at the same time, I don't want to just breeze through the game without even trying, so some balance between the two would be nice, or better yet, just add a difficulty slider. It also doesn't help that they kind of reduced the story a bit, because the story got a lot more interesting, a lot more engaging in Sun and Moon. But then when I played Ultra Sun and Moon, I just couldn't finish the game because they completely wrecked the pacing of the story, and it was like, okay, we do have this atmospheric moments, like, okay, we could keep that atmospheric moment for the Sun and Moon where they get on the ship and they sail to the new island, and you watch the characters stare around with joy and wonder as they sail across to a new horizon, leaving their comfortable little island for the first time. Or we could add in a manta surfing minigame which completely breaks the flow, and the only reason you have for playing it is because it gives you access to a move tutor, which then makes the game even more broken. So yeah, I just got so freaking bored of it. So in terms of Pokemon Sword and Shield, which at the time of recording is about a month away from coming out, I'm kind of looking forward to this thing and some of the new Pokemon. I just hope that they make the story and the characters more engaging. I don't care about the National Dex stuff. I'm sorry for the people who are disappointed because that's the part of the game they enjoy. But for me, I'm a guy who goes, look, I don't care if all of the mons are in it or not. I don't care if some of my favorite mons aren't in it. I mean, that would be a bonus, but I won't hold it against the game. All I want is just a good, solid adventure I can raise animals to fight each other in. That's all I ask. A good story and an interesting world to actually explore. A 2Junkie style question. Who is that Pokemon? It's Meowth. Last question. Grail Mercenaries versus Chrome Shepherds. Who wins and why? Yeah, this is one I wish I could have had Sven for. I would say if you're doing base stats, it would be the Grail Mercenaries because they have the free tiered evolution thing. But if you're doing like the multi-class thing, then it would probably be Crom Shepherds because they have the ability to keep getting more skills and more levels and more stats until they get insanely broken. So, I mean, I guess if you're just doing it the base story, it would probably be the Grail Mercenaries overall because they are pretty bulky and gain more power, and they eventually fight gods. And Grima is a powerful dragon and is godlike, but not quite on the same level, I think. Let's go on to Leafy McDuck. Let's see. If the flying device from Donkey Kong Jet Race, also known as Barrel Blast overseas, ever became a real thing, would you use it? I would say yes, because flying is awesome. The only downside would be whether or not it would tire your arms operating the thing, especially since I'm currently going through physiotherapy because a lot of my bad habits have caused my shoulders to seize up. So, yeah. I would have to be cautious of that. Maybe develop a comfortable posture for it. With Clone Wars getting a 7th season and the ending it deserved, are there any other series that got cancelled and would be deserving of a proper ending? Oh, that's a good one. I would like a resolution to the cliffhanger of Spider-Man Unlimited, I believe the series was, where Spider-Man went to space, but I don't know if it's really deserving, because the series had some problems. It just ended on a really massive cliffhanger that was never resolved. In terms of stuff that got cancelled, I wouldn't have said Buso Ranking, but, you know, that awful Peter Isle is the one running it. Actually, what I can think of is Red Sprite. It had some interesting concepts going into it. It's a manga series for a record. But it was clearly not getting the attention, so they cancelled it, and they had to end it on the note of, well, this arc's wrapped up. I'm sure there are many adventures that we'll be having in the future. The Last Sayuki is one I would also like to see get its full ending, but credit to the writer and artist for that, because they actually follow a great way to wrap it up in a way that it was obvious that it had been cancelled, but it'd be still really satisfying. Like, I have now seen a vision of the future. I now know for certain that this is what's going to happen, and that when the end of the world is upon us, heroes will stand up and we will save the day. And you do get to see like the time skip designs of everyone, and you end on that shot of the hero gripping his magic stuff like a baseball bat and making that swing. That was a good way to end it. So yeah, I guess Red Sprite. I can't really think of any other series off the top of my head. With more and more big anime productions being movies and not easily available legally as anime series on all those different streaming platforms, Would you like to see wider releases for them in theaters and on streaming services? Yes, yes, yes. It would be so much easier to access all of these movies rather than having to try and troll for DVDs or hope against hope that they are somehow available on Google Play. The problem is, I know that a lot of them are seriously niche, so they're not going to get wide theaters, especially with the way that a lot of anime is now written by otaku for otaku. I can see it being a hard sell in a way, but it would be nicer to be able to access movies. I mean, the only way I've been able to watch the Dragon Ball Super movies is by watching them on Google Play when they eventually become available. Which reminds me, I still need to see the Super Broly movie, because the animation on that does look beautiful. What is the greatest real-life Pokemon adventure you had? This was a question I always felt bad about, because... Okay, this is actually like a really great setup for a question, because Luther McDuck gave me an example he had, and it's essentially stuff like when you actively go out of your way to get Pokemon merchandise, or like when you're out and about with Pokemon Go and you went through something to get there. But I don't have Pokemon Go because my phone can't handle it. I live in the middle of nowhere, so you can't really catch any Pokemon near us. And there aren't really that many big merchandise shops near me. The closest I could possibly mention to a real-life Pokemon adventure is there was one time when I was in a bigger city and I eventually came across this large toy shop that also had a load of nerdy stuff in it, and I went and got a Tepig plushie, which was adorable. And it is still on my desk staring at me. So, yeah, that's really the closest I could get. It's kind of an anticlimax, really, because it just comes down to I went to a store and bought something. So, yeah, that's the reason I've been sitting on that question for so long. And this last one. I went back in time to the year 2008 and somehow erased YouTube from existence so that Sakurai wouldn't be sad about people watching all the cutscenes from Super Smash Bros. Brawl Subspace Emissary mode before it even launches. As usual in my time travel shenanigans, I'm stuck in the past and want to know, did Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U get us new story mode in this timeline? Yeah, we probably would have gotten a story mode. I don't know whether it would have been on the level of Subspace Emissary, given that the roster just keeps on expanding. Also, I don't know if it would have actually been worth it either, because, okay, Subspace Emissary had some cool character moments, but if we're being brutally honest here, it's not really a great story, and a lot of the time, the characters don't really act in character, they're just sort of reacting to things that are going on around them. And they're inhabiting a world which doesn't really fit them. Like, you have DDD. DDD lives in a castle which is just a black square, which if you've ever seen DDD's castles in the Kirby games, that's not the type of place he lives in. He likes to live in these big, screw you, I'm awesome castles, rather than just something small and modest like that. Now we have two from Vice of Legend. Has Sven shown you Kakaski's LP of The Raven, Legacy of the Thief Master yet? No, is the answer to that question. And what are your best and worst vacations? We did think about answering this one, but we decided against it both times because it kind of got, it kind of got a little personal, and B, we couldn't really think of any, worst vacations, at least not any that would make for dramatically interesting stories. I've been to Cuba, that was a lot of fun, but, nothing that would make a dramatic or interesting story that would actually be worth talking about in a podcast. And now time to end this off on the fun dose of madness because of Toon Junkie. I'm going to ignore the request to do Rated Historia or Golden Sun. I've been meaning to get round to both of those because I know that there have been a lot of good things said about them, but like I said, I'm not doing reviews anymore. And I'm going to quickly skim over these ones that were for Sven. Have you ever thought about trading your question mark for an exclamation point? And I have kidnapped Jonin and replaced it with his evil clone, a Jonin Nape. Why haven't you noticed this? Although, in fairness to the last one, Jonin's not really evil. He was just chilled. Alright, what color monkey are you? You look orange. Are you an orangutan? I am a ninja monkey. We can be whatever color we want. Have you seen where my skunk has gone to? I can't seem to find him after turning invisible. I would help you out, but I can't smell things. Sorry. If you could be the queen of a country for a day, which country would you rule? Okay, there are so many political jokes or genre jokes I could make right now, so I'd say I would like to be queen of anywhere for a day, so I can abdicate, and then live the rest of my life in luxury and peace. I'm looking for knights to join me on a crusade to stop the unholy scourge that is the letter E. Can I count you amongst our numbers, Sven? He's got stuff to do, sorry. Can you answer this question without using any non-repeating monosyllabic words? Indeed. I am secretly plotting to paint Sven clad for the next few months. Sven, can I count on you to distract him while I do this? He's already distracted enough, dude. Jonin, Sven, quick, there is little time. Where did you put my spare set of knitting supplies? Hurry, the world doesn't have much time if we're to save it. Have you tried looking in the cupboard? If Sven had a sketch character, what would it be? The funny thing is, I think Sven was batting around a couple of ideas, but none of them ever really stuck. Have you guys ever thought about moving around, or at least changing positions while in the recording booth? You've both been sitting there perfectly still for so long that I'm sure Sven has no arms. Well, yeah, you're kind of right, we have been sitting there for so long, it's why we're now getting up and moving on to other things, quite literally. As we all know, you and Sven are part of the legendary barbershop quartet group, the Striped Slackers. Your smooth melodies took you to the top of all the charts in the world. You were a bigger hit than even the Beatles. But now it is just you and Sven. Yeah, unfortunately, well, you know how it is when you're trying to keep a band together. There are creative differences, and one of them just has to get into a scandal because he claims he's bigger than Buddha. So, yeah, that's the reason why that band's not to fit anymore. And we have a couple of the questions where he tries to catch me out through pronunciations. Can either of you guys say toy boat more than 3 times? Toy boat, 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 toy boat. Okay, I think that was about 5 or 6 before I started slurring. And, okay, yeah, I know what this is. He's making fun of the fact that there is a Welsh village with a ridiculously long name. All I know is that the last bit is pronounced go. Yeah, I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce it. I don't know it, and I've got parents to do to Google it. Okay. And to answer this question, no, I haven't been there. Can you prove mathematically that gauge theories with spontaneous symmetry are renormalizable? No, I'm going to say to that. And again, another tongue twister one. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, then where are the peppers Peter picked? It's a key piece of evidence needed to lock up the perverse pepper poacher. I would say that he's probably got them hidden in a safe house. In fact, knowing him, it's probably somewhere right out in the open that we would continuously look over. So I'm going to suggest the Tower of London. And finally, Jonin, being a world-renowned playboy, philanthropist, adventurer, crime fighter, and motorcycle stunt master that you are, when do you find the time of the day to answer so many questions? I make time because it's so much fun to do. At least I used to, but time has now caught up with me, and like I said, we need to move on and do other things. And speaking of which, it's time for me to leave. Thank you all once again, and until next time, cheerio.